Good evening, welcome to the overnight edition of From Day One. Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell is waiting for us on the deal with the original appearance of Matthew Markum, also known as Madman Markum. So with that... Oh, okay, I'll take some free credits. Let's begin.
What about a digital stopwatch? Measuring into the hundredths of a second at least. Chunking that through.
There's an interesting idea. Thank you, sir. He's saying throwing a stopwatch through. Now, that is interesting, Michael, because if the stopwatch made it out the other side...
and the electronics getting destroyed.
And there had been, even if it's mechanical...
Yeah.
Of course, then it would be subject to a mechanical field, probably stop it cold. But if you could get one through, it might provide you with an idea of whether it actually went through a time distortion.
Yeah, like set two of them, have keep one through the other and set for the exact same time.
That's good, Michael.
Yeah.
Very good. Stay right where you are. We'll be right back with you. Michael Markum, Madman Michael Markum is my guest. We'll be right back. All right. Back to Michael Markum. Michael, were you surprised to hear from your arresting officer?
Yeah. Very.
Me too.
That's like quite a coincidence.
He's apparently following your case, Michael. Does that make you nervous? In other words, he knows where you are now, doesn't he?
I don't know if he does or not. I think he does. I don't know if he knows the exact house I'm in, but I think he knows I'm in St. Joseph, so...
St. Joseph, well, see, so wouldn't surprise me, but that he or his friends might be cruising by your apartment looking for strange flashes.
Yeah.
All right, that sort of thing. All right, let's see what we've done out there. Are you to the Rockies? You're on the air with Michael Markum.
Yeah, this is Rupert. I got to get my radio, Art.
All right, turn it off.
Yeah, I'm going to turn it off. Just give me a chance.
All right.
I got it. It's gone.
Good.
Okay.
Where are you calling?
St. Joe Thursday.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Leavenworth, Kansas.
Leavenworth, all right.
Yes, sir. I would like to say that your guest, I think, is just a little bit nuts. He's probably as nutty as I am. I would like to make a comment. As far as what he's doing, I think he's on the right track, but you being a ham radio operator, that's what I am. You have to understand that you also have to have a transmitter and a receiver. You kind of get what I'm getting at now?
Well, I guess the Jacob's Ladder may have been a crude transmitter and receiver in a sense. In other words, wait a minute, sir. He was propagating this voltage across those two rods, and it may have been a kind of a blunderbuss way of going about it, but I can understand that he might achieve the effect he thinks he did.
Well, you had a gentleman on one night that was explaining the theories with Nikola Tesla.
Yes.
Okay, and I've studied Tesla in depth. I've been studying Tesla for a good 25 years, and I'd like to ask your guest a question. Where did he come up with this idea that he would use high voltage?
All right, it's a good question. Where did you?
You mean for the time machine deal?
Yeah.
Like I said before, it didn't I didn't set out to build the time machine.
As is so many times the case with any discovery, you were simply trying to build a Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah, just like something fancy to watch thing.
Just to see the spark go up, sort of be something cool to do. I understand that perfectly. Believe me, I understand that. And an unexpected effect occurred. These things happen. First-time caller line, you're on the air with Michael Markum.
Oh, hello, Art.
Hello.
This is Chuck in Redmond, Washington.
Yes, Chuck.
I just wanted to call, and I'm so glad I got through tonight because people like us that are messing around with this kind of thing, we got to kind of stick together.
Oh, you're another one, are you?
Well, a little bit. I'm mostly my friends, that sort of thing. I got into it about 3 years ago, started collecting information. I've got a computer bulletin board service where I try to get all this stuff together and get people to talk about it. Because I ran into into a buddy who originally had taken, he was using a lot less voltage, but he was just using DC batteries, made a couple of coils, and was using a police radio that he would key, a ham radio, a handheld. He would key it and then tweak through the frequencies, and I guess he hit the resonant frequency of the circuit. And cut a long story short, he ended up in the loony bin for a little while, and he's okay now, but I went down and snuck a tape recorder in to interview him, and I got it all on tape, about an hour's worth of conversation, and he told me, he was telling me all about his time travels and how he had gone through this portal and that portal and had to go through 12 worlds to get back, and quite frankly, I thought he'd lost it, and I'm not even sure now, but that was kind of interesting. So I did more research, and then I presented it to another buddy of mine who fools around with electronics like I do, and I said, hey, what do you think of this? And at first he stopped, and then he looked at it and he goes, well, I could see how you get some kind of interesting effect out of that. And then about 2 weeks later, he kind of came up to me. Well, he came up to me, he was kind of pale in the face, and he said, wow, one of the engineers upstairs at where I work, which is where they manufacture medical equipment, he said that he had taken 2 4-foot square capacitors out of an X-ray machine and hooked them up to a short length of 12-gauge wire. You know, it's a very thick wire for somebody who wouldn't know. Laid it on the floor and threw a quarter in it, and he pushed the conductors together, the electrodes together until it got close enough to arc. I don't want to know how he did that. And apparently after the spark, it disintegrated the 12-gauge wire, and the quarter was reduced to the size of a dime, but a quarter-inch thick, and apparently still in good shape.
Well, that's something, and it's yet another effect. In the case of Michael's experiment,
best of Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. Tonight's program is a rebroadcast from April 18th, 1995. Please do not call.
Here again I am. My guest is Michael Markum. He's too young to call him Father Time, so we're calling him Madman Markum. Here are a couple of faxes in on the subject. Art, no, I don't think you juiced this one up. Well done. What a scoop. What tremendous bloodhound intuitive tenacity. You're 1 in a million, as is young Michael. I predict a great future for him if he doesn't blow himself up or get lynched first. I can just see the light pouring out from the cracks in the porch. Art, help him find a mentor quickly. And then, like he needs encouragement, get this. Art, we've done what we estimated to be a 30-kilowatt version of what Michael did. However, we did not see the time travel application, but if he needs transformers, we've got them as leftovers from our electrical business, free if he wants. He provides shipping. I'm sure, like us, there are many people that have more than what he needs for experimenting. He's really talking small-scale power. 100 kilowatts is just medium power level. I cannot suggest that it be done within the city limits, however. People are not very technically tolerant around here either. Randy, listening to Kogo in San Diego. So, Michael, there you have it. It is a free offer of that which put you behind bars. This guy's willing to give you transformers. Cool, huh?
Yeah, very.
So, is that something you might go for?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I can put you two together. I've got Randy's number here in San Diego, and I'll give it to you privately tomorrow. How's that?
Okay.
I don't want to be arrested for being part of this. But nevertheless, it's a good offer. How do you feel about the possibility, Michael, of somebody coming along and being your mentor even more than this, maybe contributing money to build a great big gigantic version?
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be like a dream come true.
So you'd go for it, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Set up a lab somewhere and go for the really big voltage and really big current and, boy. All right, west of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael. Hi.
Hi, I'm calling from Medford, Oregon.
Medford, KOPE country. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was just wondering, what makes you think it's a time machine and not some sort of thing like Star Trek, beaming from one point to another?
That's a good question. Yeah, what makes you think you're on the track of time here, Michael? It disappeared. The question is where to go and for how long?
Well, that's like, well, before my laser burn up, that's pretty much just set aside. I had to go by what I saw. So right now, it could be several things. Like, it could have been like it could have went through time. It could have went through like something like the Philadelphia experiment and like made it invisible or something like that. I'm not like 100% certain what it is, but
I'll say this much, Michael. All kidding aside, you know, I think that if I had done what you've done, and I'm the kind of person likely to do that. I disassembled all my mom's appliances when I was about 8 or 9 years old.
yeah.
And I'm a big experimenter, so if I'd noticed an effect like that, I'd be on it too, like glue, and I'd keep going. I mean, who cares what people say, right?
Yeah.
Is that your attitude?
Yeah, pretty much. Everybody's got their opinion.
Yeah, they sure do. And here's another one for you. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Markum. Hi.
Hello, this is Christoph from Kansas City.
Yes, sir. Right near Michael's home.
Yeah, right near. My question would be, I'd like to know if you guys would explore some of the more technical aspects, such as which direction in time it might be going. If indeed he did get to a point where he himself could step through it, how he would be sure that he could get back from which direction he went.
That's an interesting question. Although the screw came back, and he was going to try, I think he said, an orange next, or something like that.
Yeah.
And see if it came back intact. And then maybe a kitty cat. And then maybe Michael. Would you, I'm curious, Michael, would you have stepped in yourself, or would you, if you got to that point, or would you have looked for a volunteer?
Well, if I looked for a volunteer and didn't make it back, I'd be guilty of murder. I already had like 60 days in jail, and that was a playing up for me.
So you wouldn't want to be on trial like OJ?
No.
Of course, they wouldn't have a body.
Yeah, that's true, but heck, I don't know.
So you would have done it yourself then?
Yeah. I still felt if I wasn't like legally wanting to like then found guilty of anything, I still wouldn't have wanted like anybody to do that.
Okay. Wild card line, you're on the air with Michael Markum. Hi.
Hi there. Yeah, I've got 2 or 3 questions for Michael, and very, very interesting program. This is John from Reno.
Yes, John.
It's a great program. Did he have any Tesla research information before he started this?
That's a good point. Have you looked into Tesla at all, Michael?
Yeah, science in general is like really
that's, I don't know, I guess you could call that my hobby. So I read all sorts of books. Let's see, I've read Tesla. Right now I'm reading, there's this book, I forget who it's by, but it's like the string theory of the universe, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, how about the Philadelphia experiment? You checked that one out too?
It's like hard to find information on that in libraries, so I'd like, I've got like, this past, conference I went to just a few days ago, found out like information on that, information on the Montauk Project, which is a spin-off of the Philadelphia experiment.
Michael, let me add something here. Michael, we did a program with one of the people involved in the Philadelphia experiment. And Michael, he gave all the technical details of exactly how they did it in the program.
Was that guy, Al Bielek?
Al Bielek.
I'm trying to get in touch with that guy.
I can get in touch with Mr. Bielek, and what I'm telling you, though, is we did a program with him in which he gave the exact technical details, the RF field and the electrical field that they used, the intensities, the power, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you might want to get a copy of that program. It's the only... I'll tell you how to get that, all right? Or maybe I'll even have it sent to you. On the East of the Rockies line, you're on the air with Michael Markum.
Yeah, you got Ray from Florida, Missouri.
Hi, Ray.
Yes, my cousin just called me. He called you from Leavenworth, Kansas.
Oh, yes.
Yes, he didn't hear the answer to the question on the high voltage, and he was just wondering, he didn't hear the answer because he had to turn his radio off, and he called me and said he's only allowed one call a night.
That's a true statement.
So he would like to hear that, and...
well, all right, rephrase the question then for us.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what he asked. He just said that he asked a question about the high voltage, something about where did he get the information for that. And I think that, I've been listening, and it's amazing about the way that works, and I'd like to hear the answer, and if you would give me a few seconds to go and shut my radio off.
All right, well, I'm not exactly sure how to respond to it. Do you remember the original question, Michael? Something about the high voltage,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. We went through it, and Michael explained how he built the first transformer.
Yeah.
And then how he obtained the following transformers. And so I'm not sure exactly what...
How can I say this? How did I know how to make a Jacob's ladder or something like that?
Did you have an original design of some kind, Michael?
For a Jacob's ladder?
Yes, yes.
The Jacob's ladder in and of itself, just to make a Jacob's ladder, is pretty simple.
So you knew, it was the scale of the thing.
Yeah.
All right, West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Markum. Hi.
Yes, this is Cliff from North Bend.
Hi, Cliff.
How are you doing, Art?
Just fine.
Hey, this gentleman, he is really on the ball there. To me, isn't he?
Well, see, he's either that or, according to a young lady who called, he's like a terrorist, and we're like helping him out, spreading the information.
I admire him.
Like I wrote
I'm about twice his age.
I'm sorry, Michael, what did you say?
That one's like as if I wrote the anarchist cookbook or something.
Yeah, that's exactly right, the anarchist cookbook. Any questions for him, sir?
Yes, I would like to exchange some correspondence with him as I'm working with Mark on, I'm trying to think of the last one, Hendershot, free power. And it's just a thought. It's crazy.
All right, I'll tell you what.
Twice this guy's age. Why couldn't we make it self-powered?
All right. On that note, listen, Michael, there are a number of people, a lot of them actually, I'm sure, who would like to contact you.
Yeah.
Is there a way they could do that? Now, you be careful, because this is a big radio program, Michael. There's a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear from anybody who would like to help you out or
sure.
correspond with you? How would they do that?
Well,
you can either give out an address or a phone number. It's up to you.
Well, I guess I don't actually.
Think about it.
Yeah. Heck. I don't think they're all going to come at once, and
Yes,
10,000 people come to my house at once. I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah. That'd be a heck of a sight.
Maybe rather than giving out your address, Michael, you'd like to think about giving out your phone number or not.
No, it's already published in the phone book, so might as well.
All right. What is your phone number, Michael?
It's 816-232.
Right.
4019.
All right. Let me give it again. 816-232-4019. All right. We've got just a little more time here. So on the wild card line, you're on the air with Michael Markum.
Hey there, Michael. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Yeah, this is Will in Spokane. The original, I think, mad scientist when I was probably about 4 years old. Incredible idea that you have. What was your education?
I was in about 2 years ago. I was actually it's from November '91. So about a year and a half later, I was like majoring in electrical engineering.
Oh, major! Jesus, you're only 21.
Yeah.
Wow.
I graduated when I was 17.
So what would you recommend to Michael? Would you say keep going or stop now?
I'd say get in touch with me. That's what I'd say, and continue on.
All right. Well, you've got Michael's number.
Actually, I don't.
All right. I'll give it to you now. You want it?
Yeah, I do.
It's area code 816.
816.
232.
232.
4019.
4019. Okay, my name's Will. And maybe I'll give you a call, huh?
Okay.
All right. There you have it. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Markum. Good morning.
Well, good morning, Art. I think I'm going to go out and play the lotto now. Hey, listen, I've really enjoyed this show. That woman that called and a couple of the naysayers that have called up, I'm going to have to say they're all but persistent. And this has got to be the funnest show you've ever done. Anywhere from getting this guy after I heard the story initially last night on your show, and then this morning, and then the police officer calling up, Art. This has got to be the greatest show that I have heard in a long time. I want to know, though, is, Mike, are you going to be publishing?
Well, that's a good question.
Write a book?
Yeah.
Yeah, a book or, some sort of just a technical manual or something like that, or theory manual.
All right, there you go.
Heck, there's all sorts of books out there, like, on this subject, so, I don't know. That's, remains to be seen.
Maybe if you, on a larger scale, get to try the experiment.
Yeah, it's it's another thing, too. If I get this thing in, it actually works, heck, I could write a book, do a movie, and do all kinds of stuff,
And hopefully tell us whether it was a lone gunman or not.
Yeah. That's another thing I'd like to do, too. This may sound like a joke, but heck, I'd like to go back to really killing Nicole Simpson, but that's another thing.
Well, I guess that would be a laudable use of it, and maybe we could cut this whole damn trial thing short, Michael.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right, hold on just a moment. We'll be right back to you. All right, Michael, I'd like your reaction to this. Art, thanks so much. I've really been tiring of hearing all the crap that's going on in the world, the dollar-yen crisis, the Iran, Russia-China nuclear crisis, everything in the U.S. is in crisis, the OJ crisis. It's refreshing not to have to listen to any of it at 11 o'clock tonight. No, instead, you've chosen to share with all of us someone near Kansas City, my hometown, who is either truly on the cutting edge or merely yet another deranged madman. I frankly don't care if he is. It's just so nice to hear the tale of somebody's courage and following their intuition and going for their dream. Thank you, Waldo in Tehachapi. There you are. You're not a deranged madman, are you, Michael? No? How would you describe yourself?
My strange experiments, basically just like anybody else.
Well, I don't know about it just like anybody else.
Well, that's the way I see myself. I mean,
to you, you're normal.
Yeah.
All right. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Markum.
Yeah, I was interested in talking to Mike about possibly publishing, as in one of your last callers said, publishing information. I am a computer junkie, basically. My name's David. I'm from Houston.
So you'd like to interview him?
Well, what I'd like is, if he ever does go to the whole publishing stage, is to see if I could get him to send me the information on, what the outcome is. Maybe not exactly what he's doing, because, of course, he might want to keep that to himself, or keep other people from trying it, but basically get an overview of, what type of information he's dealing with, what he's doing, what the outcome is, and possibly show it to the public to see if they like it at all.
All right, and that winds into an earlier call. Thank you. We will give Michael's number one more time here. You're going to be on the phone a lot, Michael. Michael, the guy asked, are you taking notes? I mean, are there any notes so that if you stepped into the gap and turned into a French fry, that people could read and see where you went wrong, maybe?
Yeah, overall, like a general, like write down every little thing, but like keeping a general idea down.
Okay. We've got so many calls. East of the Rockies, where are you calling from, please?
In Kansas City.
Kansas City, yes,
Good morning. How are you?
Fine.
Mark is just as north of me in St. Joseph. I'm down here in Independence.
That's right.
And by the way, I have to echo the last caller. It's a refreshing difference from the stock market report.
There you go.
For which we have no control. Mark, I need to ask you something.
It's Michael.
Michael?
Yeah.
When you approach the day when you build the quote-unquote Arc of Triumph, give me a call because I want to make sure I plug in my surge suppressor first, okay? Love you guys.
All right, thank you. So he's worried about the appliances there in Kansas City. Is there a way you can somehow protect the local area of the power grid that next time you do this, Michael?
I can have the power company put a bigger transformer on the pole. That way I won't overload it.
That's an idea.
Yeah.
From now on, I bet anybody in the Kansas City area, when they see their lights dim, they're going to wonder if you just jumped across.
Yeah.
All right. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Markum.
Yes, I would like to know if your guest has great knowledge of time travel.
Great knowledge of time travel?
Yes.
Do you have great knowledge of time travel, Michael?
Great knowledge.
Some knowledge.
Yeah. General idea, but down to the nitty gritty, and just that's what I'm doing now.
I mean, after all, nobody has real publishable knowledge of time travel. We're off into an area here that just isn't much known.
Yeah, it's right now, it's treated as the same thing as UFOs and stuff like that.
Sure, absolutely. Wildcard line, real quickly with Michael Markum. Hello.
Hi, Mike, and Art, this is fantastic. Mike, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to the Art Bell show before?
Yeah.
Well, okay, I just want to let you know that there's nothing but a bunch of wackos out here that listen to Art Bell all the time. And we really appreciate a guy like you. Let me say this.
Gee, do me some more favors, sir.
Let me say this, Mike. There's a guy who's a cosmologist, an astrophysicist. His name is Rick Thorne, and he's into what is called wormholes.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of similar to a black hole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what he likes to talk about, and this is also very fascinating, it also has to do with time travel. Now, when you step in one end of the wormhole, and it has to do with the speed of light and the space-time continuum.
All right, we're about out of time here.
Okay, well, he says, when you're coming back out the other way, you meet yourself. Now, I often wondered, if you threw the screw in, did you take a look at the screw and see if it was turned left or right-handed thread when you found it?
Ooh.
Interesting questions.
Yeah.
Keep it up, Mike.
All right, Michael, we're out of time. It has been a great pleasure. And yes, we do very unusual, kooky things on this show every now and then. But, Michael, on the serious side, I admire you on a lot of levels. I really do. Not the stealing of the Transformers, but what you're doing and what you're trying to do. And I really appreciate your coming on the program. And we'll get your number out one more time. You're going to hear from a lot of people now, Michael. Okay? You take care, my friend.
Uh-huh.
All right. Take care. That's it. We'll be back.
The best of Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. Tonight's show originally aired on April 18th, 1995. Please do not call.
Well, it sure is. Hi, everybody. Welcome into the program. I'm going to start with a short open now. If you just start tuning in, we spent the last 2 hours... how do I explain what we just have done? If you're just tuning in, you'll never understand. I read a story last week about a Kansas City man who tried to build a time machine on his porch. I tracked him down. I tracked him down. And he went on the air with me tonight, and it was the most incredible 2 hours you've ever heard. He explained exactly what he did, why he got in trouble for stealing the transformers from the power company, how his experiments proceeded. He actually caused something to disappear and reappear, possibly moving in time or dimension. And the arresting officer in the case called up during the course of the interview. It was just absolutely incredible. So it's hard. The man's name is Michael Markum. And I said I'd give his phone number out one more time. He okayed that. He'll be sorry. You all know about the C-21 mystery. 8 men dead when an Air Force Learjet went down in Alabama. Nobody knows quite what brought it down. It was completely destroyed, but they did get the black box, the flight recorder, so we may be able to find out. Killed Air Force Assistant Secretary Clark Easter and Air Force Major General Glenn Prophet. Among those killed. Possible cause they're toying with is a fuel imbalance. In other words, the Lear has fuel stored in the wings, and if you get too much of an imbalance, obviously you can't fly. We'll find out. Economic news, housing starts are down about 8%. Down in the West as much as 20%. Down despite falling mortgage rates. Signs are that the housing market will continue to fall. Now, I've got all kinds of news about the dollar. We've got a serious problem here, folks, so let me read you a couple of facts. The U.S. economy, as well as the world monetary system, is in serious jeopardy. The dollar is collapsing and rapidly losing its status as the world's premier currency. I've included a copy of a record-breaking drop it took on the overseas market this evening when it plummeted to an incredible 1.345 marks to the dollar and an astounding 79.7 yen. When will the American people wake up and take notice of what's happening? Will they wait until it is completely collapsed under the tremendous burden it now shoulders? Or will it be when the value of the dollar is measured by its weight rather than its denominational value? When the day comes that a $100 bill only puts a couple of gallons of gas in one's car, it's going to be too late. Something must be done now. The crash of the dollar is not some futuristic event. It's taking place right this moment. Indeed, Tokyo, the Associated Press. The dollar fell to a new low against the Japanese yen in early trading Wednesday, following a decline overseas due in part to pessimism with regard to talks between the U.S. and Japan. Tokyo stock prices nosedived. The dollar fell to 79.75 yen from 81.12 late Tuesday. It did climb back to 80.08 yen. My God, it's the lowest dollar-yen rate since the modern exchange rate system was set up in the late 1940s. My. NBC did a piece last night on sexual harassment. What is sexual harassment? Who knows? I used to think that it meant that you were grabbing at a female or you were being sexually aggressive in some unwanted, unwelcome way. I always thought that was sexual harassment. Anyway, whatever it is, since Anita accused Clarence, the number of sexual harassment complaints to government agencies has risen, get ready for this now, 109%. 109%. So far, $22 million has been paid in claims. There is a Los Angeles fire captain, Steve Johnson, who is challenging a policy in his fire department, apparently, which says that he's not even allowed to have a Playboy magazine at the fire station. Apparently, these days, one can be charged with sexual harassment for looking at a woman. And I think we've gone too far. This is really pathetic and sad. I mean, look, women, to me, are beautiful creatures. And if there's one nearby and there's something to be seen, I do not now know the harm in looking. I've never known the harm in looking. And if you can actually be charged with sexual harassment for merely looking, well, I don't know, America's turning into a different kind of place. What has happened to sexuality and the relationship between men and women? Is it now just going to be a matter for court and for challenge and for... I think we're ruining it. This great thing, this relationship between men and women, we are ruining it. And I'm not happy about that. I should tell you I'm not happy. And I wonder if you feel the same way, or do you think they're on the right track? And that people should absolutely have their distance and their space, and that women should not expect to be looked at? Is that where we want the relationship between men and women in this country to be going? I don't think so. Now, let's see. Still reacting to McNamara, a lot of people are. Art, I agree with you about McNamara. Do you think he wrote the book to tell his story or to earn more big money? I'd feel better if he donated the proceeds to a veterans organization. I believe Charleston, South Carolina, by the way, suffered major damage from an earthquake sometime back in the mid-19th century. Enjoy the show. You're fair and reasonable. Longboat Key, Florida. Wow, down in the Florida Keys. Longboat Key, Florida. I've always looked at the Keys as a wonderful place to be. It's beautiful there. And then this, and then we'll get the phone lines open. Art, you have a great show. Art, this country has to legalize drugs, whether we like it or not. The present situation is not tolerable. The arguments now are the same as were used during Prohibition. As it was then necessary to legalize alcohol in order to control the rum runners, it's now necessary to take drug money out of the hands of the dope gangs. This is the major issue, though there are many others involved. Many people think this problem is unique to modern-day America, but it's occurred throughout history and the world. Anybody who is generally concerned with this topic ought to take the time to read The Forbidden Game, A Social History of Drugs. It is a scholarly work that provides much thought-provoking information. As a true believer in Republican government, I can see no other course but legalization. People must be allowed to injure themselves if they wish to. Of course, they should also be absolutely responsible for their actions and left in their own mess, as it were. Government must get out of the business of protecting people against themselves. It makes us lazy, docile, and atrophies the reason. Freedom and responsibility are two sides of the same coin, and if the American people don't realize it, they're going to lose both. That's Mark from Clackamas, Oregon, and I thought it was a profound argument for legalization, and there are reasons to argue for it as well as against it. All right, we're going to open the lines now. If you want to comment on the show we had on between 11 and 1 Pacific time, the first 2 hours of the program, you're welcome to do it. Time travel, what Madman Markum is doing, has done, plans to do, you're welcome to comment on that or anything I just brought up or anything that you would like to bring up at all. And I would like to say once again to everybody that in my estimation, talk radio is many things. It's not just politics. It's not just, at least to me it's not. It's my style of talk radio, and you will hear me do many, many different things on this program. I'm convinced over the years that that has contributed to and is part of the reason for its success. It sometimes upsets people, but in my estimation, if you make no waves, then you're not really doing anything at all. So I will continue to do what some people think of as a little more than passing strange every now and then. It's just me, folks. On the first-time caller line, you are on the air.
Hi, I'm an air traffic controller out of Salt Lake City.
Okay, would you turn your radio off, please?
Certainly.
Thank you. And an air traffic controller.
Yeah, reference earlier in your broadcast, you mentioned the Republicans' contract with America.
Yes.
And there's currently a couple of issues that I'm concerned about. One is the attack on the federal retirement system.
Yeah, oh, yes.
This is going to cost me a heck of a lot out of my pocket. It's, we're looking at, about $1,500 to $2,000 a year on that, plus increased health care. They're attacking my differential pay for being an air traffic controller, which was meant to revitalize the air traffic control field.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately on this, I think they're overlooking the fact that there is a lot of waste.
I don't suppose they hang portraits of Ronald Reagan up in the air traffic control area, do they?
No, they certainly don't. And also this attack on federal retirement, it concerns us because this attack, as I call it, will send a signal to the rest of America, corporate America, to slash the retirement benefits that our workers have struggled so long and so hard to get.
I do agree that the process is underway.
Right.
And ultimately, it's going to probably include Social Security as well, so everybody's at risk here. Either we get it together or just about everything's at risk.
Well, and federal employees have been taking a hit for a long time. As far as being unprofessional, unserviceable, and things of the nature. But unfortunately, the airplanes fly through the skies safely, and no matter what you say about the post office, that mail does get delivered sooner or later.
Sooner or later is the key phrase. And,
the key phrase, but I mean, overall for 32 cents, we're not doing too bad to mail a letter.
Something I want to ask you about, actually a couple things. As an air traffic controller, in the post office, you mentioned it, we all know, they've had some people go kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And shoot people. Now, that was because it said of the pressure in the post office. And if there, wait, let me finish.
Okay.
If there's a place that may have more pressure than a post office, it would be your job.
Right.
And yet I don't know of any air traffic controllers that have gone bonkers and grabbed a gun. Any thoughts on that?
No, they haven't. I think a lot of the problems in the post office are related to the supervision of their employees.
Ah.
From what I understand, the employees felt they were being harassed, being watched too closely. Also, at one time in the Postal Service, they had one supervisor for every 2 employees.
Mm.
Now, that started to reverse the trend on Al Gore's reduction in government, the elimination of 252,000 jobs, and the supervisor-to-employee ratio of 15 to 1.
Well, that's a good answer. All right, one more question, then I've got to go. I take it as an air traffic controller, you can read the transponder signals of aircraft. It's a good, clear way to read what's out there.
That is correct.
But you also have a real radar capability, do you not?
Yes, we do. It's the echo return offset.
Yeah, exactly, echo return. So my question is, how many times as an air traffic controller would you admit to have been tracking some sort of UFO, something that is traveling in the sky that you cannot account for?
Well, there's a lot of times out there. On the radar we have what the government alludes to false target. And they say it's a radar glitch in the radar problem. Well, I think that these radar glitches may be something else out there. I don't know. We have too many of them to account for.
Well, I'm sure. I guess you can be fooled, but you over the years you kind of learn to recognize a real return, don't you?
Yeah, but just by their tracking their movement, I've seen some suspicious things. In fact, we have a UFO hotline number up that we do call. But most controllers do not do that because then if we report that, we may be subject to some government testing.
Really?
That they don't want to admit to, so we generally don't call and report it.
If
you report this...
That's exactly what I suspected, sir.
Yeah. I don't do it.
In other words, do you want to report one of them things?
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Maybe I'll replace office next week, and then I'm out of a job.
No, believe me, I understand. West of the Rockies, you're on the air.
Good morning, Art.
Good morning.
Hey, did you hear anything about the cattle guard incident with Bill Clinton?
Channel guard?
Yeah.
What is that?
You know what a cattle guard is?
Oh, a cattle guard. Yeah, I know what a cattle guard is, sure.
Okay. Well, it seems that a report came out of Colorado.
You mean he was unable to cross one? Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. God, that was awful. Finish your story.
He saw this report, or one of his cohorts saw this report that there was over 100,000 cattle guards in Colorado.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, he said, that's too many people to employ, so we have to get rid of these cattle guards. Which is funny by itself. Patsy Schroeder picked it up and said, we can't fire all those cattle guards. We have to put them in some type of work training program. This is real, Art.
No, I believe you, sir. I believe you. I believe you. Where will it all end? It's a wonderful world. Have a good morning. I must go.
Thanks.
Yeah, right. That's too many cattle guards on the payroll. Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Bell.
It's Leonard from South Dakota country.
As usual, your program is most educational. I learned the difference between a cattle guard and a cattle guard this morning.
Yes.
And I also learned the difference between
I think the president did too.
Learned the difference between those people who are scared to death and those people who have perfect peace. You heard about that sect that thought the world was coming to the end?
Yes.
Well, there's nothing more devastating than think that the earth's going to pieces out from under your feet.
Yeah.
But the Christian reads the Bible and says that, there's 1,000 years, at least a millennium ahead of us, so we don't have to worry about the end of the world for 1,000 years.
You know something I've always wondered about, Leonard? Whether it's the religious people like yourself, or it's psychic predicting the end of the world, or, a gigantic earthquake or something, and they do it and they talk about it and they think about it and they dwell on it and they cogitate about it, and then the day comes and it doesn't happen. Do they feel disappointed?
Perfect peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them.
All right, well, we'll leave them with that thought. East of the Rockies, you are on the air. Good morning.
Hey, Art, how you doing?
Okay.
Hey, I really enjoyed the change of pace in your show, and I feel like everybody needs to kind of let loose a little bit.
Every now and then.
Every now and then. Hey, I want to say something to Mr. Markum if he's still listening. I don't know if he is, but there's a lot of people laughing at him right now. But remember, sir, they laughed at Edison, they laughed at Leonardo da Vinci, and they laughed at the Wright brothers.
Isn't that the truth?
That is the truth. So he needs to keep it up and just be careful. And the young man really does have a brilliant mind, even though he may be on the edge of being a little too smart for his own good, let's say.
Well, that's better than madness.
I don't think he's mad. He's obviously he's intelligent enough to understand what he's getting into, and I think that's all that counts.
I kind of like the guy.
Yeah, he sounds like he'd be a fun person to hang out with
Did you hear,
at a distance.
Yeah, did you hear when the arresting officer called?
Yes, sir, I did.
If you listen between the lines, that officer seemed to be saying, think about it, don't do it, don't you do it.
Yeah, he did, but then again, he seemed to be almost commending him for having the chutzpah to actually do that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Where are you calling from, sir?
I'm calling from Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. We'll be back, everybody.
This is the best of Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. Tonight's show originally aired on April 18th, 1995. Please do not call.
To Art Bell. Art, did you notice that there were no women calling in on your interview with the time machine mechanic? Except women who thought he was a radical extremist or a madman? Does that tell you anything? No? No. I enjoyed listening to that kid. I'm 49 and laud him for trying things experimental. We still don't know the real effects of how electricity and radio waves affect the dimension we live in. It's pure theory, and for all we know, it may tamper with one of the other 13 dimensions suggested in Davies' Superstrings book, Good Show. What does it mean that women... Well, it was kind of a technical thing, and, you know, guys like that kind of thing, and women, some of them are horrified by it. So I think that's your answer. I don't know what it says, though. And then this, hi, Art, I really liked your guest tonight. I've always been a physics buff. One thing that bothers me about time travel, though, as a consequence of Einstein's theory of relativity, which stemmed from something called the Lorentz transformations, mathematical equations, which describe space and time dilations, a couple of things are apparent. One, in order to experience time dilation, one must reach the speed of light, at which point the person's momentum and hence mass become infinite. Two, the speed of light is an absolute maximum. It can't be exceeded. Not to say that these concepts from special relativity are absolutes, but they do seem to preclude time travel unless some grossly unobserved physical law exists. Time travel is a cool concept worth studying, but I'd love to hear from someone more educated in physics than myself comment on this. Tom, Columbia, Missouri. Well, I'm not sure of what I'm saying, but I believe that there was some theory or even possible proof that quarks have exceeded the speed of light, or a theory that they might exceed the speed of light. And I think that that's one of the things they were going to look at with a gigantic accelerator they were trying to build down in Texas. But I'm certainly not a physics person myself, so it's open for comment if anybody out there wants to comment. Art, a little information on the Palmdale Bulge. It is an anomaly, also known as an uplift. It is literally the ground surging upward. This particular uplift was discovered about 1980 and thought it was developed during the late 1960s or early 70s. But most seismologists agree that it has been rising continually ever since. Ooh, that's bad. That's Carol listening also to KFYI in Mesa. So, Carol, I don't know what to tell you. To me, the layman in these areas, it seems like sort of like a aneurysm. As I said earlier, an earth aneurysm. Is that out of line? Here we go. East of the Rockies, you're on the air.
Hi, Art. How you doing?
Just fine.
This is Mike calling from TDY in Madison.
Oh, Madison, Wisconsin. Yes, Mike.
And, well, one quick question and then a longer one. Does your Milwaukee station, is that going to carry you all the way to the end of the program? Because they chop you off for an hour here.
Well, it's a matter of time zones, Mike. In other words, the program here on the Pacific Coast goes until 4 a.m. There it would be 6, and most radio stations begin their morning shows,
right,
wake-up shows around 5.
Yeah.
So that's what happens.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because we never, I never know what's going on for that final period of time, and well, irrelevant.
It's torture, I know.
Yeah, and I also wanted to mention, if your time traveler there ever does succeed, it'd be nice if he could maybe throw a dollar bill through there to see what shape that comes back in.
maybe a little tiny little $1 bill. That'd be frightening. It was a hell of a story, wasn't it?
Oh, it was pretty interesting. It's hard to believe. I think it's more likely that it's creating an invisibility effect than time travel, though.
Well, maybe. Either way, it'd be a big story.
Yeah, well, speaking of other big stories, I got home today to a message on my answering machine, which was sort of chopped up because I have a really lame answering machine, but it's from my friend in Arizona who works in parks and went camping with some geologists, and
yes,
he mentioned about the Palmdale Bulge. Apparently they had a very spirited discussion about that, which I don't know what the Palmdale Bulge is. I was wondering if you knew.
No, I'm not a geologist either, but it sounds bad, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it sounds like it. Evidently it's something of great interest to them.
I would think of it just off the cuff as sort of an earth aneurysm.
I like that. Well,
all right.
I'll get back to you as soon as I find out anything more specific, and I'll see if maybe one of these geologists would be gutsy enough to get on the air with you.
Oh, hey, listen, if you get one willing to go on, have them call me.
They're notoriously closed-mouthed.
I know. So they like to talk around campfires, but you get them in front of a microphone, they clam right up.
That's right.
All right, thanks a million. And have them fax me my fax number.
That's where we will leave it for tonight. Come back tomorrow. We have one more part of this Coast to Coast AM episode. Till then, as always, please make sure you do like, share, and subscribe. Be kind to one another. Help us get closer to that goal of 50,000 views, 1,000 subscribers. The Boxy sends us the nice red boxes that we can send to you all. And, of course, Google puts us on the algorithms. Like, share, and subscribe. Be kind to one another. And release the crackers as we march along this overnight and every overnight here from day one. Have a great night. We'll see you on Monday. Enjoy your good night's sleep, everybody. And enjoy your good night's sleep, everybody. Have a great night.